Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Information Warfare Pavilion for our final speaker of the day. And as he's getting mic'd up, I will just take the time to remind you that we still have 2 sessions tomorrow morning with the Commanding Officer of Fleet Weather Center San Diego, representing Mitaka Oceanography Command. And then we finish up the day and the conference tomorrow with a panel of our commanding officers, 4 captains that are out there on the pointy end of doing all the information warfare important work that you've heard about over the last couple of days. But for today, we get to finish up with Mr. John Pope, Executive Director from Naval Information Warfare Systems Command here in San Diego. 29-year Navy veteran, surface warfare officer, then came over to the civilian side like many of us do. And he's got a long, distinguished career that I'm not going to read much of it. Except to say he started out at the University of Pennsylvania, and he became a civilian employee in 2012 and quickly matriculated up into the senior executive service. So with that, John, over to you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna roam a little bit. I have some notes to make sure I stay kept up with, but you're hearing me okay here in the back corner is good. Hey, I heard that happy hour has already started. I don't want you leaving, but usually you get to say, like, I'm the guy between you and happy hour, and I think it's kind of challenging for me to be the guy and you've already started happy hour. So I'm just checking the audience to see if anybody was bringing food and drink, but it looks like I'm okay. Hey, thanks for being here at the end of the day. I'm going to give you kind of an update of where we're thinking about it, what we're doing at NAVWAR. If you saw Admiral O'Connor, who was briefing yesterday, and she'll be back for a panel tomorrow. What did I do? You all somebody watch that for me, okay, in case I need to leave. But we're really trying to kind of, wow, that's going to make it even harder. Maybe I'll press on and we'll get through here. But hey, you all know what NAVWAR does, so I'm not going to give you the NAVWAR 101. I don't hear drills, that's good. But one of the things, I do see the happy hours been, all right. One of the things you got to do, in our world for information warfare is, we've got to be the guys who are the quickest to respond to what the fleet needs. One of the things, we're not going to, for 2027, you're not going to build a new ship. You're not going to build a new aircraft. But some of the things that we're learning, especially from the Red Sea ops, we're bringing that data back and rapidly updating our systems and pushing that out. Now, you'll see on my last slide where we're trying to understand better. There's been plenty of AI, ML discussions here this week so far. I'll show you where we're embracing some of that within the NAVWAR team. So I'm going to show you an org chart, core values, what we're doing on Project 33, our partnership with industry and economic piece, a little bit of the business, and then the last slide, 2 slides, is on our AI ML piece. Org chart, not much has changed. We do have my new Admiral O'Connor. We do have a new executive director at PEOC4I. So if you see Sam Hanaki around, he's here. And I'll also figure out a way to make sure anybody who wants these slides can get them, because there's some numbers in here. If you want the numbers, you can have them. You don't have to take too many pictures of them. And then we also have Rebecca Gassler. So on the overmatch side, off to your right, where Admiral O'Connor wears 2 hats, we were able to hire and get Rebecca Gassler on board as her deputy for overmatch. So the Admiral has a deputy for NAVWAR, that's me, a deputy for overmatch with Rebecca, and Bill Lukey has an executive director now. So that's the biggest change on the chart. On the core values piece, the Admiral, what you got here, wanted us to kind of refocus NAVWAR's core values. The only reason I put those up there because not only because they're new, but if you think of the terms like what we're asking the workforce, and we'd be asking our industry and academia partners, the audacious innovation kind of again ties back to, if I'm going to do something faster, I am not going to do it the way we've been doing it. So again, and you'll see again on the last slide, what are we asking industry to bring and talk to us about, because we were not going to do what we've been doing. And then the radical ownership, in some cases, some of our equipment's been out in the fleet a long time. The program manager doesn't exist anymore. And then the poor fleet sailor goes, well, who owns this? Well, who's there who takes care of this? Admiral O'Connell's like, we own it. The radical ownership is we're going to support it. We're going to figure out a way to either modernize it or we're going to find a way to fix it until we can modernize it. So I think it's been a little bit of a mindset where some folks go, well, that's been there forever. An ICEA or the fleet takes care of it, and that's not satisfactory to her or I. And so we're looking for areas there. And I think that lines up really well with Navy's core attributes. So let me go. Project 33, I'm not going to read through the Project 33 pieces here to you, but I would just tell you, and I've been doing this a little while per my bio, when you're the information warfare guy and they go, well, the CNOs come out with their strategic plan, what the CNO cares about, every once in a while you'd find a nugget where they go, hey, they're talking to me. They're talking to what we do at NAVWAR or across the NAVWAR team. When we go down this, I had this on my table at work, and I sat there when it first came out with a orange highlighter, and I highlighted every time I saw where we play in this. And the whole thing, every line item has a highlight. Some areas are very prescriptive to us. Fight from the mock. What's our role in making sure our mocks are ready and interoperable and has the right equipment suite to do the new missions? LVC. Our NAVWAR 4.0 team is working, how do I get IW systems more into our LVC environment so sailors can train and operate them at the right security levels at the same time. And even on the recruit and retain talent, I'm not a recruiting command, but if I make connectivity on a ship, if I make a sailor's life better, I'm helping recruit, and most importantly, I'm helping to retain. So I go through this, and every one of these in autonomous systems, you saw some of that discussion yesterday, and again, it's a huge area consuming the Admiral and my time, and we're leveraging all 12,000 members of NAVWAR to go figure out where on the autonomous story, whether it's controlling them, whether it's payloads for autonomous systems, or whether it's some way for a sailor to control more than 8 or more than 20 at a time. So those are the kinds of things. So I think if the CNO is talking to you and you're going, is this something I'm supposed to be doing? It is crystal clear this is something we're supposed to be doing. All right, business side of the house. This is the SDMAC University of San Diego study from end of 2023 on NAVWAR's economic impact in the San Diego region. The only reason I put it in there is, it talks to jobs and dollars that go into the economy. I would tell you from 2023 on, that story is not diminished. I'll show you another chart on the amount of investment, the amount of work that we're doing, and it's not just a San Diego story. It's our work we do around the Pacific, and it's certainly our East Coast Tidewater and DC area with the 2 PEOs there. So the economic impact this is a San Diego one, but it's growing across, and it's an important piece as on the war for talent. We want to make sure that a NAVWAR job. I mean, I can't overpay you, but I can have you working on some of the most interesting technologies and challenges. And the beauty of being here in San Diego is when you have a great idea and you want to go talk to a sailor about it, you don't have far to go. And if you want to demo it, you want to experiment with it, the range is right here. Our Marines are right here. I've got a son in the Space Force, so if I've only got to drive 90 minutes north, then I can go interact with Space Force. So I think the synergy of what we get here in San Diego is huge. These are just the numbers, but there's there's way more than just a number story here. But these are the number slides. Here's one more number slide. This is our funds flow slide. So this is public releasable. So you want to see how what the plumbing looks like at NAVWAR. Coming in the upper right is the funds flow that comes either directly to NAVWAR. The right arrow, the 5.9 billion, is the funds that come in through other sponsors to our warfare centers, and then you can kind of see where it goes. It primarily going to industry, but you see how it flows through our two NIWCs. Again, the work that they do with their own workforce, and then the flow back into industry, and that's large and small businesses together. And so this is one we look at carefully because folks want to know is where do the dollars go for our programs? Does industry get a chance to contribute and help? And so we watch this very carefully. The footnote, if you wanted to read it, was, and I'll show you on the next slide, it's interesting is FMS money. We get big chunks of FMS money in every year, and some years are bigger than others. So this year we got a bigger chunk in, or in 24, and as a result, you can't count FMS money, even though it goes to industry. You can't count it in the numerator. It only counts in the denominator. So we're normally about 74, 75% going to industry, and if you look at NAVC and NAVAIR, very similar. So that's the flow, and then there's a much more detailed one that I get to look at to kind of see, where, how well we're moving the money, how well we're getting it on the contract, and then, a little bit how much is overhead, what do we spend on overhead? So there's there's sort of the story over the last, starting in FY10. So you can see the FMS is the dark lines on the bottom, the very bottom. So you saw the big bump in 24. And then the normal appropriations coming to us are the dark blue, and the lightest, or dark green. The lightest green is other sources. So again, this is Marine Corps, other SCN money, other federal money that comes into our warfare center. And then the solid squiggly line is the percentages going to industry. So I think we've been doing pretty good at balancing what you do in-house and where industry is there with you and getting those contracts to do the work. And then, or last of the business slides, one of the things the Admiral asked when she got here is like, hey, what's our RDT&E as a percentage of our TOA? Coming from an area where, in her experience in the weapons world, that RDT&E investment is where you came with that new innovation. That's where it got into your programs. For NAVWAR, this is looking from 25 out. We've been kind of steady, but we're seeing some diminishing in our percentage of RDT&E. Doesn't mean we have less money. It just means there's less of it of the RDT&E variety. So my points are there is, we need the tech innovation to drive what we do for the warfighter. If I'm the Canes program manager, I'm not allowed to field the same network year after year. I need to make it more capable, and I also need to make it more secure. I need innovation coming into that network, pick your system. And so one of the things that has been traditional in our IW world was, well, you'll just buy a whole new system, and that's how you'll get more innovation. You'll just buy it and change it all out. And we certainly do that on the production side, but the challenge with industry is that when I have a little bit less R&D coming in to go try things, I'm going to need technical solutions that I can bring in and incorporate into a production buy. I'll use my labs, I'll use ONR to do some of the real dynamic things, but when it comes to a high TRL level that I just need to buy and install as quickly as possible, that innovation needs to be shovel ready, and that's an ask for industry to help us there. All right, and I think my last two, and then we'll have Q&A. No, small business. Sorry, got ahead of myself. You're not meant to read this, but I will just tell you where you see green is where in the last couple of years is where NAVWAR's met our small business goal. And the reds is where we fell short. We'll see where the new SecNav, wants to focus. But, as of yesterday, our desire to make sure we're great partners with small business has not changed. And so I think those are areas where, whether you're at the warfare centers or with us at headquarters of the PEO, that's a huge deal. Last couple of years, we did a Hub Zone Challenge. And this year, we're going to do both a Hub Zone Challenge and a Women-Owned Small Business Challenge. And I think for MLB, if I got my memory right, on the Hub Zone Challenge we did last year with them, we invested $500,000 to prime the pump. The company that won, I think, won a $15 million, IDIQ task with MLB that was seeded by that Hub Zone Challenge. So we're looking to do the same thing to sort of be able to create some movement on some of the economic categories that we've not done so well on in the past. So if you look at my goals for this year, I got some relief. They kind of lowered some of my goals a little bit, but I still got to make sure I hit green, and we're looking at all the ways that we can use both our small business, large business partners to get after these goals. We're also doing the Contracts Industry Council, so I stole that from Nywick Lant. They've been very successful in engaging with their industry partners on more than just small business topics. So we started that up last year here in the San Diego region to get more of our, kind of get that opportunity for that feedback with our small business and other business partners. All right, last two slides. So this is an area that we're, if you think about what we do, and this is a PEO-C4I sort of picture, is, across the top is really the acquisition, program management, and if you see all those A- dates, those are not in days or hours, those are months, and so if you're on a good day, in a great program, you're really getting your modernization done in that kind of speed. And then we install what we built in the ship avail, and then all those items, whether it's SOT, DGCIT, Com2X, grooms, basic phase of the OFRP, advanced and intermediate phases, and all those things we're learning about the systems we put on. And but we're learning about it in all sorts of disparate ways. We get CAS reps, we get trouble tickets. The RMCs that are doing maintenance are getting, they're keeping track of ship tech assist. And then, so there's some feedback loops, but they could be measured in months, and that's not satisfactory. So we've been asking all our teams, and so the light blue or the lightish color is general AI models. And again, that's why you want the slides, because you'll see what we're doing. And the purple is where we're doing with ML models. But what we're looking at is, across all these different phases, the information we're learning, how do we go, and this is where we welcome, I've had a couple of briefs today from industry on your ideas on how to, where the large language models fit, and how to pull the data in. But we're looking as I look across the engineering modernization, how do I help an APM or an engineer get through those steps as fast as possible? How do I write documents that I don't have to I don't write for the 12th time? And then when I get into the design, into the modernization and fielding phases, every time I learn information about installing our gear, does that information go somewhere to help, with that loop to go faster? So there's some areas where we're learning, on whether it's readiness data, maintenance data, the systems themselves collect data, And again, in the old days, it might have gone to an ICEA and they would analyze it in a spreadsheet. Our goal now is, how do I rapidly take that information and get it fed back? And especially if you think on the right-hand side, when I'm in a software-intensive system, I should be able to flip that circle. I should be going around that circle really quickly. And then up to your left, if I have an engineering change, or I need to change a server, or I need to change an antenna, that's going to follow a little slower circuit. But I want to understand and use the tools there too. So I would say as you're talking to our program offices and you're talking to our NIWICs, and if you come to see me, we'll try and clean this up and make it more common language. Some of this is NAVWAR speak. But the idea would be where are opportunities to make this go quicker? And then where are there opportunities to harvest the data? I mean, our fleet readiness department recently, they're showing a tool that uses basic AI that says, of these CAS reps that we're seeing in the fleet, which ones do we think are likely to be the most critical? I mean, they're all important, but which ones does a history and the models show, if you see this, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to be one that's going to be quick and easy. And so you don't necessarily need a very complex model to do that, but you want to drag in all the data you have to inform those decisions. So that's it. I only saw 5 of you with beers, so I appreciate you not holding them up too high while I was talking. Only thing left on here is our small business site, and our long-range acquisition schedule, plan. An estimate of what we've got coming. It's more than a small business resource, so we do like to get your feedback on anything that we could do to make more information. I was told that our LRAY is one of the best in the Navy. At least my small business team tells me that. So my goal is, how do I make it better? How do I make it serve you better? And my small business team is sitting right here. Kim, where's your hand? So talk to her. All right, what can I answer for you at the end of the day? I do have only one drink ticket, so I can't help very much if you don't have one. But what's on your mind that I can answer?
Good afternoon, sir. Cleveland Easton from OpNav, and definitely appreciate all the hard work there, your NAVWAR team. Biggest challenge that we face is training and looking for, more systems that come with integrated or, as you say in the combat world, fly-through scenarios that can help the sailors get more sets of reps on the equipment. Yes, sir.
No, I appreciate the question. I grew up on a ship where you get your classroom was some mock-up of something, and then you spent some time with a tech manual. That's not today. We're not, in addition to trying to figure out how do we get training and updates while you're on the ship with your suite, but when you're in that pipeline, where are some more ways? The Canes team has really done this super on, you can spin up a virtual instance of your Canes. You can train with that, on your way to the ship and while you're even on the ship. On some of our older gear that was built before we were so enlightened, I think we're looking for ways to kind of, whether it's with the virtual MERTS 3D, the MERTS systems that allows you to simulate those so sailors can get hands-on. That's a piece of it. And then the LVC aspect of saying, it's not only important to train and I'm a maintenance sort of guy, so maintenance training, great, but when I want to do operations training, especially with the more exotic capabilities, what's the environment I can do that training in? And so the LVC environments that we're standing up, making sure our systems when we upgrade them, that's again that loop. If I can go fast through that loop and you say, with this change, this system now enables better sailor training capabilities, That's the kind of stuff we want to drag in. But from being a PM, sometimes the training story was later in your thought. You had, and so the problem is we're trying to catch up from that. And you know that from your OpNav days, so thanks for that.
All right, sir.
All right, I can ask you questions.
Hey, good afternoon. Eric Boer, Third Fleet. So we talk about AI and machine learning, are we ingesting like CAS cores, like CAS resolutions into a system to enable a virtual onboard tech assist?
I mean, those are all the things that I want to make sure that we're doing universally. We might be doing it in some aspects of our programs, but the other piece is like just how do you ingest? And the good news is you can scrape all that information. And when we're trying to do like with our tech assist visit request, the results of a tech assist, the results of a CAS rep, are we scraping? And we are starting to scrape those in because we go, what did the technician that came and helped the sailor, what did he or she find? And then how do we feed that back into, is it a training deficiency? Do I just have the tech manual wrong and so the sailor didn't know what step it is? But I've read enough CAS scores that sometimes that's not enough. So I want to pull in other data. What was a trouble ticket that was open, and what did that trouble ticket say? So we're trying to do that, and that's a little bit where, on that circle chart, if I have a couple of groups doing that really well, I want to go find the groups that aren't doing it well and make it easy for them to do it. Because some of the programs are not as well resourced to use as many enlightened tools. But yes, that's absolutely what we're trying to do. Can I hold that for you?
It's empty. I bring you another one. John, Pete Schmitz, Seeker Technologies, we're an LLM fine-tuning organization. Question on the overlay feedback loop where you have a lot of LLMs for your business workflows. How do you leverage programs that have been doing this before transformers like Cameo for predictive maintenance? And then secondly, how do you interact with other centers of excellence, maybe for less business flow oriented, but more technical LLM modeling and use?
No, and thank you. And I don't think that, I didn't mean that to be only a business. I mean, on the side of the house, I meant that it also include the technical side. My day job doesn't have me, learning a lot about large language models, but I am learning more and more every day. And so part of this, why I'm here this week, and in the engagements we're having, is where are those places, because the Admiral and I are interested in, if we're going to be using our tech authority hat, say, which of the large language models are best suited for different things, and which ones, from a governance point of view, are the ones where it's the most safe for the Navy to put its data into. And so there's some areas there that we're trying to understand. So I think the sky's the limit on the choices. Across the top, absolutely. How do I write a section L or a section M? What's the automated way I can do that? Because I've been doing this for years. The model already knows what good looks like, and it helps our contract specialists write new contracts faster. But down on the technical side, again, I'm thinking is when we capture all those trouble tickets, who's besides a human trying to figure out, does this, how do I roll this in to better maintenance, better procedures, or a redesign? And so I'm open to all, and I know people come before us on this, but where should we stay away from? I've been reading the stuff on DeepSeek. Maybe that's not where I want to go. Put my Navy data. But and we were just meeting with a couple folks about how you protect that data that goes into that model so that you know that a sailor's not getting a bum answer. So
Right, you want to be able to trust that model.
I want to trust the model. And I want to be able to update that model as I learn, but what's that update cycle to make sure the model doesn't get corrupted because I put some data that was not curated correctly, and all of a sudden I'm given bad answers. So we need help there too.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. I have a drink ticket, so I would like to go use it. So if there's nobody else, no other questions, I appreciate your time on this, and I look forward to seeing you on the floor here at FCA. Thanks.